Spinning wheels. All right, we got to get everybody else in here before it's officially time for Mile High Insiders Saturday night. Obviously, gonna have a good time. So we have Facebook coming up on lines. Check mark and check mark. All right, let's go. As Diamond Rattler says, boom, let's go. Welcome in, everybody. It is Saturday night. It is the blue hat, black bottom, short sleeve the show tonight. I guess with Luke and myself. I just kind of shaved my my
Looking good.
beard that was starting to come in, so I should have talked to you first. But Luke, how
Looking
you
good.
doing?
Oh man, I will never shave this thing off ever. I might trim it up here and there, but it's the only New Year's resolution I've ever kept. And yeah, I just got to roll with it. It's fall too. You got to get after it. You got to look grizzly. I got to try to hide this face thing. But what's up, Broncos country? It's MHI. We are back. Nick Kendell, Luke Patterson. Super pumped to talk Broncos, Steelers. Hours away, starting early tomorrow. Now it's not early like that London game that the Jets are going through, and it's the Falcons, right? Jets and Falcons. Yeah. So not going to be that early, but still going to be an earlier slate of the game. Let's say hello to some folks real quick, because it looks like we've got a decent amount of folks in the channel. CC, I see ya. Saying what's up, Broncos country. Hope you all are doing great. We've had Barack in here since before the show even started. Barack, sit tight. We will get back to you regarding Teddy Bridgewater. DBA, good to see you. And we are off and rolling. Guys, this is MHI. He is Nick Kendell. I'm Luke Patterson. You can find Nick Kendell at Nick Kendell, MHH on Twitter. Yours truly at Luke Patterson LP. Guys, be sure to get over to milehighhuddle.com. It is absolutely crucial that you do. You can find all of our up-to-the-minute Broncos news, analysis, highlights, film breakdowns, you name it, we've got it. There's never a subscription. There's never a fee. None of that over at MHH. We've got guys and gals working through the night, overseas. Absolutely love it. Twitter at MHI_pod. Twitter at Mile High Huddle as well. And guys, if you want to get your swag on, go on over to the huddleuppod.com store and grab yourself a hat. Building the Broncos, MHI. Broncos for breakfast. I saw those grays. They're looking good. They're looking really good, Nick. I might have to get me one of those. And then you got those guys. What are they? The Huddle Up Boys. They got some swag of their own. I see T-shirts all around the Mile High City. Really, really cool. Of course, you've got the Dove Valley Deep Divers. And I don't think I'm missing anybody, right? I mean, Chad's got Broncos Book Club as well. Be sure to look out for that on Saturdays as well. And we've got your back. And if you're on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, become a supporter, like, subscribe. You can find these podcasts wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple. We're totally available. And Nick, we are off and running. Broncos Steelers. It was a gnarly week last week, man. You had Fangio and Harbaugh spitting off. You got Fangio talking about, I don't want it to be a hangover game. And then him and the coach are going after it all week. Last week is done. The Steelers week. Broncos Steelers. That should get your blood going right away.
Yeah, no, it absolutely should. You know what else gets my blood going, Luke? It is the giveaway that we have going this month for all the Huddle Up podcast guys. And obviously we are raffling off. We've done a Von Miller jersey so far. We've done a Justin Simmons. Now we're doing the future, and the future is now a Patrick Surtain II jersey. That Surtain the second with that big number 2 on the back. Good looking jersey. We're raffling it off. We need to get to 250,000 stars, and we're at 14% there. So let's keep it going. Let's keep it in. And obviously we're going to get the top 5 people who are super chat givers, and then Facebook stars. Here are our Facebook leaders so far. We got Mama Moody coming in number 1, Randy Jones number 2, Michael Ronquillo consistently coming in number 3, Lawrence Rivera, Howie Frickin' Day, who I believe won the first jersey, Peter Middleton coming in here across the pond over in Cambodia, Andrew Baker, of course, Travis Weber, good to see you, Travis, Andrew Lampy, and rounding out the top 10, Tim Hoffman. So you guys, just any stars you get in there, those will help get your name into the raffle for that Patrick Surtain jersey. And our top 10 superstar givers, or super chat givers over on YouTube will also get us in. So also some other ones coming in here: Michaela Parker, Seth Harmon, Shane Daniels, Naj Altaf, DW96734, Brian Greenfield, Aaron Lynch, Mark from Georgia. Good win today for Georgia, those Bulldogs. Chris Hernandez, Christy coming in there, and then more and more names. So we're seeing it come in, and I see we have a super chat right now from a name that I haven't seen for a hot second, but it's great to see him. Muhammad Badri, Mo, with his beautiful baby boy Malik. How you doing, Mo? Braun and Smooth Killer in the house. I love you guys. Love to see you too, Muhammad. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully you had a good summer and football season, baby. It's great to see you.
Mo's our guy, dude. Mo's been with us since the
Yeah.
very beginning, since MHI started, man. He's so kind and generous. Hope you're doing well, man. It's good to see you. A fine member of Broncos country. I also want to say what's up to James. I see you in the chat. Paul, Mike, Donald. We got McLovin. We got a McLovin in the chat too, Nick. That's pretty dope. I'm feeling good about that. Our guy, Chris Hernandez, you mentioned him a little bit earlier as well. Broncos, Steelers. Here we go. Now, before we go down the rabbit hole of Big Ben Roethlisberger, what the Steelers challenged the Broncos in multiple areas, of course. Let's talk a little bit about the Broncos. All week it's been who is going to be QB1, Nick, for the Denver Broncos. Now, the big question of the week, did Teddy Bridgewater clear concussion protocol?
It sounds like he's going to be cleared and good to go. So I think we heard Mike Tomlin during his presser where he also met with the Denver media. So far, there's only been one coach who has abstained from meeting with the Denver media.
Who was that? Who was that?
I would take a shot at him, but he's going to do something stupid probably to make it just too easy. So Urban Meyer, man, what the hell is going on? But no, Mike Tomlin saying we're preparing for Teddy Bridgewater. It does seem like all systems are go for Teddy Bridgewater. And I'm excited about that. Teddy, I think, obviously, the first 3 games we kept saying, okay, he's like number 1 in the NFL in EPA per play and completion percentage over expected. Yeah, go Hawks. I know that Clifford got knocked out in the first half, but sometimes that happens and you got to be able to take advantage of when that happens. So Hawks win. But yeah, keep it going here. Obviously, with Teddy Bridgewater playing, he had a stinker last game. He struggled in that game. Maybe some of it's game plan. I think a lot of it was execution, though, but it was his worst game so far. I'm happy to see him out there versus another good defense, but to right the ship, I'm not expecting him to be the number 1 analytical quarterback in football like he was in a lot of those charts the first 3 weeks. But he gives the Broncos a chance and competent quarterback play, and that should be enough against an absolutely anemic Steelers offense.
Steelers offense, they're going through struggles, but don't mess with them. Don't think you're going to go in there and just roll on the Steelers. I don't think that's going to be the case. We will get into that a little bit, but let's get to Garrett real quick. Garrett Ringel joining MHI. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Hopefully you're having an awesome fall. It's starting to feel like fall in this country, this beautiful country of ours, and I'm super pumped about that. And he's saying, look, fellas, I heard Darby's coming back. You heard right, Garrett. Actually got the email, a couple hours ago, Nick, where they're talking the Denver Broncos, the transaction wire, if you will, that they have to release before the night of the game. And Ronald Darby is back, folks. He is no longer on injured reserve. He was elevated. They also elevated wide receiver Tyree Cleveland. And as you all know, tight end Albert O suffered a hamstring injury this week at practice. He is out on IR right now, expected to miss, I think, 2 to 4 weeks, Nick? Does that sound about right?
I think he has to miss 3 with the IR. So it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks with that short-term IR designation. It's unfortunate. We're going to see more Eric Saubert, who has been good when given opportunity. Now, obviously, he isn't the athletic specimen that Alberto Cuebanam is in the pass game, as long as he's catching the ball right. Sorry, just that drop really bummed me out last week. We'll see him back soon. And Broncos pass catchers, man, it was a position of strength we talked about in the offseason. You got tight ends you like a lot, 2 good running backs, all these wide receivers. Now, Cortland Sutton has an ankle injury he suffered. He's going to be a game time decision. Mike S coming in with his Alabama logo there. Man, Alabama, Georgia, 2 good teams this year.
Get you that PS2 jersey, Mike. Get you that PS2 jersey. But no, good transition, Nick, because I saw Mike. I saw where you were going. And Cortland Sutton. What's going on with Cortland Sutton for anyone in Broncos country that's missed it? Because he's been banged up all year, Nick, and you're just hoping that he's okay.
Yeah, no, he rolled his ankle in practice. It sounds like he's going to be a game time decision, but should be able to go. Now, he might be limited, but Sutton this year, I mean, he's still coming off that knee injury. He hasn't really been the short dynamic weapon. We actually kind of saw that a little bit more his second year in the league, where he gets some slants and can do some stuff after the catch. Haven't seen that as much this year. I think the knee's probably coming slowly, but it's also the ankle now as well. So he'll play. He might be somewhat on a pitch count. You just hope that the offensive line for the Broncos, Noah Fant, step on up, buddy. It's time. You're a first-round tight end. We got to get that Noah Fant going. Speaking of those Hawkeyes and the run game. So Sutton will play. I don't think it'll be I'm not a medical doctor. I am in the medical field, not a medical doctor. So sit Sutton. We don't need another Chubb. I don't know what the risk is of exasperating that ankle injury with playing him or further damaging it. But I think you're going to see him. It just might be somewhat on a pitch count. And that, what are the Toradol that they give those guys?
Kenneth, I absolutely love that last name of yours, brother. But no, man, don't a first rounder, a second rounder. Come on now. Like, you know better than that. I see where you're going with the injury thing, but I don't think they're anywhere near the same in terms of the significant injuries that Bradley Chubb has sustained compared to Cortland Sutton. They're just apples and oranges right there. So I see where you're going. It's tough. The wide receiver core, Nick, used to be their biggest strength. Now it's a position that's people are looking at like, man, thank God we didn't trade Tim Patrick like I was begging them to do. Not because I don't like Tim Patrick, but because I want to see him excel on another team. I think Tim Patrick is going to be leaned on very heavily by Teddy Bridgewater. Now, to your point about tight ends, Nick, I don't think that Teddy Bridgewater and the tight ends have connected very well. I don't know what it is. I think outside of Noah Fant, it's very hard for Teddy to connect with Albert O, Eric Saubert. It's just kind of weird, and it's not there. And if Drew Lock was in, he'll be the first to tell you only got a handful of reps at practice, right? Drove me absolutely crazy when he said that. But it's one of those things where chemistry, you got to get it going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this made me laugh a little bit. Garrett, excuse me, flexing us. He's been busy hanging out with his new girlfriend. That's why he hasn't been around.
Nice.
Garrett,
congrats, man.
Congrats to you, buddy. Yeah, no, it's got to get those dubs when you can. So congrats to you for that one.
No, that's awesome, man. I love it.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I love it. Thank you
love
for
it.
sharing with us too. That actually really brought a smile to my face.
Yeah, that's cool.
Zebulon coming in here. What do you guys think about Patrick Surtain, where he's going to play now that Darby's going to come back? What do you think about this, Luke? Obviously, Surtain was somewhat a hybrid player early on, and then immediately Darby goes down with an injury. But now you're starting to get some health in the cornerback room again with Darby coming back. I would assume Darby's also on a pitch count in this game, given it was a decently significant hamstring issue for him. Not enough to surgery or sideline him, but he'll probably be on a pitch count this week. But if everybody's getting healthy, how is this going to shake out?
I don't think you want to see Ronald Darby coming back in his very first game on Chase Claypool or Johnson or any of their talented wide receivers over there in Pittsburgh because Big Ben will pick him apart. And it's not because Ronald Darby's not a good player. It's because he's not in football shape right now. He's missed a lot of games since New York, right? Week 1. So Vic Fangio tends to ease his guys back into it. It's one of his babies, right? It's a cornerback. It's a defensive player, a defensive back. He's not just going to go out there and put him in harm's way. What does that mean? That means PS2. He needs to step up. I love him, but he's going to make rookie mistakes. They drive me a little bit crazy, but it's because I care, right? And I know that PS2 is going to make plays. Now, I know he had, a bizarre injury going on with his abdomen, chest last week. Kind of bizarre. Not hearing a whole lot about that, but
I almost wonder how totally legitimate that is, because he was having a hard time.
Getting worked a little bit, but yeah, it's just the whole thing was bizarre. So but he's a tough player. He's going to strap it up. We've got Luke McVicker. What's up, Luke? I actually got to meet Luke at training camp, Broncos training camp. Yeah, he was able to take vacation time and go to Broncos training camp. That's what Broncos country is about. Good to see you, man. And he is saying, what's going on with Teddy? He's not what he was the first 3 weeks, but what he did last week, or is he somewhere in the middle? He's I wouldn't say sporadic. I would say that was a tough game last week, and he was knocked out really before he could get things going. He was not playing well, but by no means did that mean he should have been benched or anything like that. We've all been waiting for the come down, right? Because we've had the high with Teddy Bridgewater and Pat Shurmur. Now, I put this loss more at the hands of Pat Shurmur and some of that offensive play calling. It's just insulting to me when the man is lying to us on Fridays out there at UC Health Training Center. And it's just like, dude, you don't run the ball. Don't say you're committed to it. Don't say that you understand it. You panic and you freak out. Is that on Teddy? Some of it, but for a lot, I think Pat Shurmur he should be doing some splaining.
Yeah, I did go back and look at the Broncos' success rate for rushing the football in the first half of last week's game, and it was only 33%. And what is hello, Travis, good to see you in the top 10 for our stars over on Facebook. But the Broncos did only have 33% success rate, which means gaining 60% of the yards to go on first down, 80% on second down, or 100% on third down. So they weren't running it super efficiently based on that metric. But still, you have two young offensive linemen who are much better right now going forward than going backward. You do not have much communication or chemistry history with that interior offensive line. It's a Ravens team that loves to blitz. I don't understand. The game was not out of reach, and you go away from the run like that. Now, yes, were there some pass plays out there that should have been made and wide receiver or quarterback maybe messed up? Yes, but you have two good running backs. You're not helping out Drew Lock or anybody going completely in that almost air raid pass attack. I don't know what's going on there with that decision.
Dare I say I felt a little bad for Drew Lock when he came in. I really did. I'm like, okay, here's your
Yeah.
opportunity. But we all knew what was going to happen. And I'm not going to eat his lunch for that interception. He's trying to make something happen. I really don't care that he threw a pick at the end of the game. But turns out knee gates turned into this whole other thing. But Pat Shermer's just the panic freaks me out. And I can't stand when people panic. Don't panic. It's okay to voice frustration. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to go through failure and loss. But when you just panic, that's not good for anybody. And you said it best. You had two young offensive linemen on skates out there. Calais Campbell did his thing in his homecoming back to Denver, right? And you saw the Ravens do their thing. It wasn't anything fancy. It was, we're going to come after you. We know who you are. We don't care what you're doing. And that's what the Broncos defense has got to do against the Steelers. Go after Big Ben. Get after Najee Harris. Najee Harris, I wrote about it in milehighhuddle.com and my keys to victory. I think you're going to see this cat really utilized in the passing game. Now, Vic Fangio's run defense has been okay, right? It's been pretty impressive, but I think you're going to see Big Ben go to the check down a little bit. He's got to stop turning the ball over. It's something that's killing the Steelers. How does he do that? Go to your first round running back.
Yeah. And that's something, just schematically speaking, for this Broncos team that is probably a key to the game. Najee Harris, I do not respect the Steelers offensive line. They have two rookies starting. It's a team that has, Broncos country, we complain about the offensive line, but if you want to go see really terrible offensive line play, just go put on what the Steelers have had to deal with this year. And I think the title of the show is the demise of Ben Roethlisberger overstated. Maybe it is a little bit, but it's Ben Roethlisberger's arm somewhat falling off a cliff, his mobility also decreasing greatly, on top of having the worst offensive line in football. That's just, it's way too hard to score points when you're so bad in both those areas. So it will be really interesting. The depth and space, though, for how much the Broncos linebackers drop back in that cover 4, cover 6, whatever they're running the match quarters, and then the running back. Broncos linebackers are going to have a big game. They're going to be chasing a lot, I think. And Najee Harris, if he can break one, he can, I guess, paper cut you to death in the pass game.
Speaking of the passing game, Nick, something I've been wanting to pick your brain about since I've been watching that game film, and I've been waiting to ask, what did you think of Justin Simmons' play last week? A lot of people have been, I think, really tough on him. Now, I think he got beat on a few plays, but for me, a lot of that was coaching too. Now, I'm not just trying to say it's all the coach's fault and the players have no blame in this game, but good Lord. I mean, they ran in that same soft zone coverage that Lamar Jackson knew all about. It drove me insane. There's plenty of blame to go around, but for this defensive evil genius, I mean, can you listen to Ed Donatel? Can we mix it up a little bit? Can we have some sort of creativity? Because I don't feel like Vic Fangio ultimately had his players in the best position to have success against the Ravens.
Yeah, get back to that real quick. Hello to Michael Ronquillo and Greg Smith coming in. Always super good guys to see in here. Thank you for joining us. And people saying, I think I need the whole Iowa game. I was a nervous mess. I haven't had Nick's beer fund for a little bit, but pros to you guys tonight. When Iowa wins, we have the Iowa victory polka. In heaven there is no beer. So enjoying a adult beverage right now, but enjoying talking with you guys even more. So talking about the Broncos defense. Schematically, I think it's really easy to say in hindsight that the Broncos and Vic Fangio didn't do very well, but they gave up, what was it? Less than 24 points, right? The game plan was, okay, Lamar Jackson, beat us through the air. We're not going to let you beat us with the ground game. We think our offense can hopefully do enough, and we don't think you can consistently hit those big boy throws. And hat tip to Lamar Jackson, who's playing at an MVP level right now. He did. He hit those throws consistently and he beat them through the air. So sometimes, those guys, they're going to execute and get out there and get it. But I have a far bigger issue with the Broncos offense leaving the defense out to dry than what the Broncos did schematically with Lamar Jackson. Do they do it in hindsight? Maybe, but that's my biggest issue. 10 punts. Yeah, we got Scott back here. 10 punts. Unbelievable. Ooh. Not even great punts. It's not like you have a great puncher to lean on either. Sam Martin's just kind of a dude.
Just a dude that I hope doesn't have to punt it, have it blocked, and have it punted again, right?
Yeah.
Just like the Seahawks. I mean, I know that went viral. Broncos don't need that. Their special teams unit, man, they will never let you down, right? If you're a Denver Broncos fan, just listen to Tom McMahon yesterday. Me neither. It's just one of those things, man, where it's frustration upon frustration. I hear you, Broncos country, Tom McMahon. I get it. He's not out there playing. So, I mean, it's just bizarre, man. The whole circumstance. Broncos special teams have got to pick it up. Gary Leeds Palmer coming in the house. Gary's in the running for that PS2 jersey, saying congrats on that Hawkeye win today. What's up, Nick? What's up, Luke? Go Broncos. Go Broncos. Gary, good to see you. Hope all is well. Happy fall to you and your family. And let's get to this question by James real quick, because it's something we've been talking about a little bit. James wants to know, what's up, fellas? Is Dalton Reisner and Graham Glasgow, are those two starting guards returning against the Steelers tomorrow?
I think from what I know, it sounds like Reisner is going to play. Now, he might be somewhat limited, but I would expect Reisner to play at left guard, and hopefully that'll help the play of Garrett Bowles, who has been massively underwhelming through the first quarter of the season. Now, I've definitely been as staunch of a Garrett Bowles defender on here over the last few years, but he's been playing below what you'd want for a $1 million a year game. So hopefully he can turn around with Reisner playing. Right guard, though, I don't think Glasgow is going to play. I think we shouldn't expect him. The real question for then for me becomes Moody or Miners. Now, Moody's been playing right guard right now. That's probably the direction they're going to go. But I thought last week Miners looked a little better than Moody. And we're not going to play like Goliath arm length monsters like Calais Campbell this week. Although, man, Cam
Hayward.
Oh,
that was
right
perfect. That was perfect
Yeah.
timing, dude. Cam Hayward, he wrecks games, Nick, as you know. And then you've got some guy named Melvin Ingram who's been taking inside defensive snaps. When I'm watching Steelers film, I'm like, what are they doing with him? Well, he's got this inside spin move that he's still working. He used to work with the Chargers. Now he's working it with the Steelers. Cam Hayward, he wrecks games. So will Dalton Reisner lace it up? We think so. Nick thinks so. I think so too. Graham Glasgow, I don't think so. I think what you've got to do if you're Mike Munchak, you've got to roll with Netani Moody. You've got to give him a chance to come back. And yes, I see all the stuff in social media. Guys, don't ever go at players. Don't make it personal after the games or anything like that. Just let it be. And I understand, gambling and stuff like that happens. Look, that's all just on your own dime. Let it be. This is football. I know this is business. It's our business as well, but don't at me, bro. And don't do that to the players either, because it gets nasty and it's a nasty look. So I think if Netani Moody is struggling, maybe you see him get pulled at halftime, and that's a wake-up call for him. And maybe Quinn Miners comes in and you roll forward, but they have got to run the ball. I don't trust offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur to do that.
Yeah, I'm just really happy that Miners looks competent out there for a first-year rookie coming from Whitewater. I mean, he's going to be somebody who's going to factor into the Broncos starting interior trio 2022 and beyond. So excited to see what he can do. Hopefully Moody can start playing better. Speaking of rookies playing really good, Caden Stearns. We got Mark Knapp coming in here with the Stars over on Facebook. Thank you so much, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
He says Stearns look good. Do you think he will replace Jackson this year? I do. Obviously, after this year. He's not going to totally replace Jackson this year. I think he's really good as that third safety right now, given he has the nickel ability as well. And he's a great athlete. He's a more explosive athlete than Jackson and Simmons right now, especially coming downhill. He can just click and close better than those guys. But as far as the replacement, I think you do pencil in Stearns as a replacement next year for Jackson, unless Jackson's willing to come back at a discounted rate like he did this year. And then, if he beats out Jackson, great. If he doesn't, you got three good guys.
Yeah, I don't know why Coach Fangio has such a hard time giving the rookies some love, right? We saw it last year with Michael Ojemudia, and they ask about Caden Stearns, and hey, man, is he going to get more playing time? No. And he's just kind of, whatever. Caden Stearns has looked phenomenal. He has surpassed all of my expectations in his rookie year already. He had a fantastic training camp. His stock is on the rise. My only question with Caden Stearns, does he have that body that can be a strong safety in the NFL? I think he needs to put a little bit of weight on. Justin Simmons is your ball hawk. He's not going to be a thumper. Kareem Jackson's a thumper, a guy that used to be a corner, just a bizarre athlete in his own right. And speaking of in his own right, Travis Weber's always respecting us, got our back. He is always there for us, man. So I got to get to my guy, Travis. Good to see you, buddy. He says, I'm no offensive guru, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that we've got to play to the line's strength. Let the offensive line knock the guys in the dirt and let Javonte Pookie Williams and Melvin Gordon run the ball and wear out the defense. This will open up the passing game. Any update on Sutton? We think Sutton's going to play. It's a minor ankle sprain. But Nick, what do you think about Travis's comment right there of it's time to feed these running backs and let them truly go to work, especially if you're facing a defensive front. We haven't even talked about TJ Watt. That's going to get after the offensive line. Bobby Massey had issues last week, right? What do you think is going to happen to him this week?
It's partially a game flow thing for the Broncos being able to run the football. That means that early on, like let's say they're not just totally smashing them with a rock immediately. It's going to be slowly paper cut here and there, a couple big runs, blah, blah, blah. The defense has to be able to respond as well and keep the game close. I think maybe a little bit last week, falling behind early. You start to fear about the run game going away. Maybe your defense can't hold to that extent where the run game slows it down. But I agree with you. The defense, as long as they can keep the ball in front of them and make Big Ben not even nickel and dime it, hey penny and penny it down the field with his little weak arm going down there, then I think you should be able to lean into the run game, and that should be the strength. I mean, not take the ball out of Teddy Bridgewater's hand, but play it efficiently, old school football, balance run game and defense. That's the formula for this year. I know we had great numbers from Bridgewater early, but run game's got to step up, and you cannot shy away from it.
I agree. And time will tell if Pat Shurmur is going to, if he's going to stay honest and stay true to who he was for the first 3 weeks against a bunch of nobodies, or if he's going to come out and panic and freak out and do the same thing he always does. James coming up here, James Grossman, with a really good question that I was thinking about earlier too. Shelby Harris, what's going on with Shelby? He's wondering, I haven't heard too much about Shelby Harris so far this season. With the decline in pressure from the defensive line, would you say that Shelby's performance is on the decline, or is there something that we're just missing? Nick, talk to James about Shelby. I think that's a really, really good question.
I do wonder, and this is something where we can only speculate, but I do wonder how much of it is scheme, because Shelby Harris has been extremely good against the run this year. We talked about it earlier about the Broncos scheme here. They really want to muck things up with their defensive line in the run game, so that way their linebackers can get depth and provide that like level of zone coverage without having to have them put their ears back and play forward. So Shelby, to me, it looks like he is much more gap centric and focused on clogging things up in the run than playing one gap and trying to get in the backfield as a pass rusher. That's something you'd have to talk to the coaches about or Shelby himself. But there are still situations where, it's pin your ears back, get it on third down. And he has not flashed like Draymond Jones or Von Miller. So I think part of it is scheme, but also part of it is we want to see a little bit more from Shelby Harris in the pass rush game.
Do not forget, Broncos country, Shelby Harris is the reason that AB and Big Ben got a little after each other in that first to get things going, at least, right? The train work was there, but Shelby getting that interception a couple years ago at home, sealing the game. Big Ben kind of rolling over on the receiver. That receiver happened to be AB. AB doing his thing down for Tampa Bay. Peter Middleton, what's up, Pete? Good to see you, man. Hope all is well. Who gets the game ball this week? Peter, already, are you chalking that up to a dub? Because they don't pass game balls out, Nick. Last time I checked, to the loser. Peter thinks Broncos going to beat the Steelers tomorrow. Who do you think would get that game ball? Because of who their performance is a win against the Steelers.
Well, I'm going to go out and I'm just going to manifest this. I'm going to say Patrick Surtain with multiple turnovers and a defensive touchdown because we need that for the giveaway, right? The Patrick Surtain second jersey, if you guys are getting the stars and the YouTube super chats in, you get a chance to win a fresh Patrick Surtain second jersey. So I'm honestly hoping Patrick Surtain can come out from his worst game of his young career so far. Not terrible, but his worst game so far. I think he had like a 57 grade from PFF. And make a big comeback and say, okay, Broncos, and everyone's talking about the quarterback position. The 2022 class looks like absolute trash. But Patrick Surtain is still amazing. So let's lean into that and hopefully he has a big game.
Who would get the game ball? For me, oh man, it's got to be Von Miller. And I wrote about it online, milehighhuddle.com. Unleash Vaughn. Stop dropping him. Stop having him do these stunts, twists. Let him go. Let him work. Let him eat. I mean, we're talking about feed Pookie. How about we feed Vaughn? Just let him go. TJ Watt, you're going to see him all over the field tomorrow. You're going to see him in various positions, switching sides. I don't need that from Von Miller. Vaughn, what's your favorite side? All right, let's just go with what Vaughn wants to do. He was the AFC Defensive Player of the Month for Pete's sake. I mean, it makes no sense to me. We got to get Vaughn going because this guy's proven, even though he's an aging pass rusher, that he can still get to the quarterback and get after it. He would have had a sack last week against Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, who ultimately made it to the line of scrimmage. That guy just breaking hearts, right? And records and all kinds of stuff like that. So I think Vaughn has got to get after it. He can get after Big Ben.
Yeah. And he can also beat up whoever he's going against on the Steelers offensive line. I mean, they're really, really bad on that offensive line. They're playing two rookies right now, probably the lowest graded offensive line in football so far. And Big Ben, because he is such a statue. Now, he's a massive statue. Don't get me wrong. Like, you're going to have to get guys there and take him down because he'll get rid of the ball. But he's a statue back there right now. So it's really, it can't be much more of a counter or a polar opposite compared to Lamar Jackson last week, where you have to be really disciplined and almost rush through your linemen, because if you cheat anyway, whoop, he's gone. And that was obviously a big schematic emphasis from the Broncos defense. So this week they can be a little bit more aggressive. They can cheat a little bit in the lane because there should be no fear of Big Ben taking off and hurting you. Go back there, hit him, beat your guy, and let's have some fun on defense. And Von Miller even talked about it as such this week.
Yeah, Malik Reed too, man. Get after it. Have yourself a day, young fella. I mean, this is a game that you can take off and improve your stock as a player in the NFL with the Broncos. Man, this is a question that I'm a little confused about, but I'm gonna answer or ask it for Chase Wellner, good friend of the show, asking is their offensive line, the Pittsburgh Steelers, worse than the Denver Broncos?
Yes, I would agree. However, I would say that their defensive line is better than ours as well. As much as I like Von Miller, Draymond Jones is playing well, et cetera, et cetera. Probably one of the most underrated, we talked about earlier, but one of the most underrated defensive players in football is Cameron Hayward right now. I think he has an NFP Pro Football Focus grade of like 93, which is insane. 4 weeks through, like typically you see somebody grade like that, like 1 week. It's like, oh man, they had a hell of a game. But to rank that high after 4 games is impressive. And then TJ Watt, Melvin Ingram. I don't think the Steelers' back seven is phenomenal, especially at the cornerbacks. And Micah Fitzpatrick is a solid player. Devin Bush is a good athlete, although sometimes I feel like he is more athlete than linebacker out there, even year 3 this year. But that Steelers defensive line is really good. That's one reason with Teddy playing, I feel much better about this game, because Drew Lock, when there's not pressure, I think he's fine. But when there is pressure, the alarm bells go off. He panics and he does something silly with the football, or just the process in general gets sloppy. Don't feel that way with Teddy Bridgewater. So feel much better about this game.
Yeah, Cam Hayward, man, I think his dad played in the league. I think Coach was talking about that this week at the press conferences, and Coach Fangio absolutely gushing over Cam Hayward. It's weird because he'll go out of his way to compliment an opposing player, but will not necessarily do that with his own guys, some of which I think you need a little bit of a wake-up call, but so does Coach in many areas. Now, for me, one thing I've got to talk about is let's talk about Vic Fangio. All right, let's talk about time management issues, Nick. We're seeing the same distracted, bizarre, one-sided decisions or lack thereof being made in year 3 from Vic Fangio. So for me, there's not a lot of trust when it comes to Vic and the clock. How do the Broncos overcome that?
Honestly, they're gonna have to overcome it by winning in the key statistics of the game. Some stuff that they have not won in this year. Also, Broncos on third down have been pretty poor. Broncos average field position because the special teams has been pretty poor. Broncos have been pretty good in the turnover margin, but those are ones that I'm really looking at, and hopefully you can win those margins by enough that it doesn't come down to Vic Fangio game management, clock management, decision making, and hopefully the Broncos defense is playing good enough where they can be. This will probably get some people to roll their eyes, but Iowa today took knees, leaving time on the clock and punting the ball because they trusted their defense that much. That's what I'm not hoping for that, but I want to have enough confidence in the defense and the way this game is going.
Vic would do it. Vic would totally do it too. He'd be like, Pat, I don't want you to spread it out. We see how that goes. Just do your thing so I can get my bays back on the field. And speaking of Bay, Peter Middleton, been a Bay since day one, man. Always backing us. I really appreciate your support, Pete. Pete wants to know, any other rookie to make a name for himself in the upcoming weeks for the Denver Broncos? Nick, what do you think? Is there some potential? We've talked about Pat Surtain a lot. Is there potential for another rookie, offense, defense, or special teams that maybe you've got your eye on and you're hoping for a good outcome?
Man, I am having a hard time actually thinking of anybody who would probably make that move, because
Pookie.
they're already playing. I guess Pookie, he's had a couple good runs. I do think he has left some yards on the field. I think he hasn't been the most patient with his process so far. There's been some backside cuts and whatnot that he's just been looking to run. So hopefully that'll start developing. Um, I would love to say Baron Browning, but every single move the Broncos make screams that Baron Browning is not going to be much of a defensive impact player this year. He got behind the ball early because of the injuries, learning the off ball and the edge position. And that's fine. You really shouldn't have been depending on him as a starting linebacker this year, anyways. But, going out Avery Williamson, Micah Kaiser, et cetera, et cetera. That all to me screams Baron Browning special teams impact this year, hopefully more so, but actually impacting the defense, probably not 2021, except maybe late in the year.
Our guy SK on the ones and twos, he brought up a good name, something that I completely spaced on and forgot about, because you do see him on the field and you see him in the game film. Jonathan Cooper. I mean, maybe he makes a special teams play and gets more run. I mean, someone has got to make a play on special teams. And
Yeah.
Caden Stearns, I need you there, baby. I mean, like, I love what you're doing in the nickel and the dime. I absolutely love it. Trust me. But I need you there. Jamar Johnson. I mean, some of these other rookies, Tyree Cleveland. I know you're not a rookie, but do something on special teams. Spencer, I think he's going to play, right? Coach McMahon was saying he's good to go. So you're going to see Deontay Spencer out there. But what drives me crazy is you hear Tom McMahon talking about Bryce Callahan fielding punts. The last thing I need is for Bryce Callahan to get injured doing punt return. I just don't understand that. It just drives me nuts. I saw it at training camp this last year, and then that gets me fired up and gets social media to go after Tom McMahon, something that's pretty easy to do. Let's say hi to our good friend Michael. We mentioned him earlier in the running for that PS2 jersey, saying, "Great show tonight, Nick and Luke. Go Broncos." Michael with us, a new friend. Well, not a new friend, pretty much last 6 months, man. Michael's been riding with us every single day. Mile High Huddle crew, you guys are going to be able to catch up with the Huddle Up boys tomorrow, reacting to the game as soon as kickoff ends. Be sure to come on over and get ready for that reaction. So Pete Middleton coming in one more time, saying he thinks Cooper takes some time away from Malik Reed, perhaps, but Quinn Miners, we talked about Quinn a little bit. So maybe Quinn Miners gets on a good roll. I don't necessarily trust him in pass pro. I love that he can climb and scrape to the next level. That's something that is really phenomenal from a Division III player, but he's so raw right now, Nick. I mean, I was gushing over him when we drafted him, but he's raw and he needs time. The way you learn sometimes is by doing, baptism by fire, and he still has a Hall of Fame player in Coach Mike Munchak. Quinn Miners, watch out for him. He's going to make his mistakes, but I think you'll see some good things from him. And don't give up on Natani Moody, folks. Do not give up on him. I know we've got Mama Moody in the house always supporting MHH, and we really appreciate that. But players have bad games, Nick. I mean, it's just the way it is. And we all know Natani Moody is not a right tackle with the best pass pro, but he is a consistent player. He cares. He's a damn good teammate. And from everybody that I talk to, he's a good guy.
Yeah, no. Bringing it back to Miners real quick, he is going to have his mistakes here and there, but watching the coaches film, where it's like straight down the line, like kind of like Madden view for those of you at home, not the all 22, but the line of scrimmage view. Miners actually really, really surprised me with his awareness. He has done a good job of keeping his head on a swivel and working across a blocking assignment to the other side to get a free rusher. So I've been really impressed with him. Much better early on than I ever thought was even possible. So Broncos got a good one there. They really did. I'm really excited about the future of Miners there, and he might be pushing somebody come the end of the year. I really, truly believe that. That's how much he flashed to me, and I was not expecting it.
Kush needs to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Looking for some. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be cool because I do like Kush. He's a good guy as well. But man, it's so hard when your two guards are struggling and you're struggling. It makes for gnarly football. Garrett Bowles. I'm actually okay with Garrett Bowles. I know he's first holding penalty. It was nasty last week and everything like that. He ultimately got his arm. He recovered a little bit. At least he's not choking guys and slamming them to the ground now, right? Now he needs to be better with that kick step, and he is better. But don't freak out on Garrett Bowles either. I think you'll be okay. He'll be okay. I appreciate the maturity and the type of leadership that Garrett Bowles is trying to implement right now on this team by coming out saying this loss is on me. I take a lot of the blame here. That takes a lot of courage to do. And I can immediately flash back to the game where he had a ton of penalties called on him. And Broncos PR, like, dude, you got to go talk. You got to do it. You got to do it, man. And he goes out there, and it wasn't the best thing ever, but he faced the media. I like Garrett Bowles. He will bounce back.
Yeah, no, he will bounce back. He's going to have to play better. I don't know if part of that also was not having the comfort of having Reisner next to him, who by all accounts has been helpful in the pre-snap stuff and just the chemistry between the two. But for how much Garrett Bowles is getting paid and for him being the elder statesman on the offensive line, I mean, definitely the most valuable player on that offensive line, got to play better, right? Like you got to play better. And he'd be the first to tell you. I think after that last game, he was on the press conference, like talking about how he has to be better and he's going to hold himself to a higher standard and blah, 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 blah. So if he's saying, I feel a little bit okay saying it as well. Joe coming in here, Joe Salgado coming in here saying if Fangio is so set on going for it on fourth down, why not run it 3 times in a row to set up the fourth and short? Because you need to also, we're less likely to have an explosive play with a 3 runs up the gut. And you want to also make sure that you have the right down and distance to do that. So, I mean, I don't know. If you had like a Tim Tebow and you could pick up 3 yards every time with a quarterback sneak and run it in the center's butt, I guess do it. But that's not really the game of Teddy Bridgewater or anybody that you have right now.
I don't know. I kind of like it. I hear what you're saying, Nick. You're an analyst. I'm an analyst. We chart the plays, everything like that. But I kind of like this one. Maybe it's because I'm coaching 8-year-old flag football and I'm trying to keep it simple, stupid, because I don't know how to do it. But for me, it's one of those things where I like where Joe's coming from here because, all right, Melvin Gordon's starting, right? Let's say he gets 2 runs, maybe 2 yards a run, maybe just 1. And then you get Javonte Williams in there. I'm feeling okay about that. We just talked about the 2 guards, Netani Moody and Quinn Miners, struggling in the passing game. Maybe that would be nice to see. Now, are we going to see that 3 straight runs, 4 straight runs? No, because Pat Shurmur doesn't do that. He doesn't care. He wants to be a head coach again. He wants to air it out. He wants to resurrect Teddy. He wants to maybe fix Drew if Drew comes back in. Maybe that happens tomorrow too. This defense is rough and tough, man. I know a lot of people are thinking the Steelers aren't the Steelers of old, but they're still going to be playing in that black and yellow tomorrow on Heinz Field. It's going to be rowdy there. They want to turn their future around. If they lose this game, they know they're officially out of the playoff.
Well, not officially,
but basically official, right? Like no team has really come back. They flatlined last year. This would basically be flatlining early as opposed to late last year. The Steelers have got to clean it up. I'm a little nervous. I mean, palm sweating, mom spaghetti, all that stuff already right now because it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who are the Denver Broncos to say they're going to come in here and boss the Pittsburgh Steelers around? It's something that the teams have got to respect each other. I love what Mike Tomlin had to say about the Broncos media, but Fangio on fourth downs, how connected he is. If Teddy's not in the game, it's hard for me to get behind. It really is. And Teddy without a week of practice, Nick, that bothers me. I mean, I know he practiced yesterday. All right, whatever's whatever. Friday practices are not hard. They're just, I don't know, a glorified stretching, if you will. I mean, there's not a lot going on Fridays. They don't want to get anybody hurt. But Teddy Bridgewater missing a significant amount of practice this week, going through the concussion protocols. How much do you think that will affect his actual play tomorrow when he returns back to play against the Steelers?
Yeah, no, it's a big thing. There's no doubt about it. I did want to pivot real quick back to what you said earlier about the Steelers themselves.
Yeah,
I feel like they're a bad team, but as you mentioned, what are they 1-3 right now? About to go 1-4. This is a tough game, man. Going into Pittsburgh, I mean, I feel like Broncos fans, we're disrespecting Big Ben, the offensive line, rightfully so, based on what they've seen so far. But like, this is a team that you're going to get their best shot this week because I don't think they respect the Broncos. Why would they? With what the Broncos have put on tape the last few years, and B, like you said, if they don't win, it's done. So, and we know, I mean, Mike Tomlin, everybody, talks bad about Vic Fangio, and maybe rightfully so after the last, last week especially. I mean, what the hell are we doing? But Mike Tomlin, man, incredible. He's gonna have this team fired up. I know, what is it, Vegas right now, 2-point favorite for the Broncos. Man, I picked the Broncos to win. I said I wasn't going to. I did. I am very nervous for this game, though. I really hope the Broncos come out with intensity, energy, because they did not last week. We had comments about how bad the energy has been. This Steelers team is going to come out pumped because this is essentially a playoff game for them.
Their offensive line is garbage. You said it. Their quarterback can't move. He's a statue. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to run the ball. They have not
Yeah.
got a 100-yard rushing game this season. That's driving Mike Tomlin crazy. Expect some old school Steeler football tomorrow. I think you're going to see some interceptions from Ben, maybe even a fumble or two, but they're going to lean on their workhorse, which has got to be their first-round draft pick in Najee Harris. They have got to do it just to try to camouflage some of those weaknesses from the interior offensive line. But I hear you, man. I'm nervous too.
Tough.
It's going to be, I hope, a good game. Like,
Man.
that's why I'm so frustrated with the coaching staff and the players. The coaches aren't playing, and the players don't get to call their own plays. So it's a weird dynamic. I feel like there's so much mistrust in that building right now, Nick, because Ed Donatel, why is he here? Why is he here? He's Vic's Whoopi, but he's not calling any defensive plays. He's coaching a great defensive secondary unit, but good Lord, I think the man could probably help Vic on defense a little bit here. At least mix it up, try to get a new perspective. You don't have anybody managing Vic on the clock, something that drives me absolutely crazy as well. So I'm nervous for the coaches tomorrow more than the players, because I would rather go out there and let the Broncos bang with the Steelers and be okay with the loss than have the same issues, the clock issues, the special teams issues. I mean, just get beat fair and square, as opposed to these records and all this other stuff. I'm done with it, man. It's exhausting. It feels like a lot of excuse making over there too, and I don't like it, because we knew this team wasn't going to go undefeated. But you should be able to win and learn, rather, from losses. That should be the key takeaway, and you can't bring that loss into Pittsburgh tomorrow.
Yeah, and something also, it's really easy, I feel like, for people to point the finger at a singular coach being an issue with energy or whatnot, or play calling, et cetera, et cetera. It's easier to blame that one single guy than the whole team, right? Or the players on the field. That's an easier solution, so we'd rather point that way. But like at some point too, you got to look at the players. Like, who is your energy? Who's your energizer bunny on defense right now? You got Kareem Jackson, AJ Johnson, or Alexander Johnson sometimes. But like, if the energy is low and you want to, and I hear you complaining about the coaches, like, look inward, right? You're a goddamn professional. If you're not having enough energy, put that on yourself. Like you need to go out there and do it. So that kind of drives me nuts. Is there a reason I'm wearing an Iowa shirt, Nick? I'm a Eastern Iowa native, and the Hawks had a big win today, so I'm celebrating.
There you go. Yeah, I love it, man. There's some black, and now he is wearing black and yellow, folks, on Black and Yellow week. So I've got I'll take a little exception with that. I don't know if that's bad juju or what. But speaking of bad juju, Broncos have gone out of their way a little bit. Well, I'm not going to say they went out of their way. They were asked about it by a good friend of ours, BK, about weddings. Nick, have you heard about this one? Weddings screwing up the Broncos travel plans. Nick, can you enlighten Broncos country? Why would the Broncos have to deal with weddings in traveling to Pittsburgh?
This year, 2021, has had the most weddings recorded in a long time, and people are booking their stuff because of the whatever the sick little bug, as Carl's daughter likes to say, going on last year. So the Broncos cannot get these, hotel rooms, the conference rooms, et cetera, because they are booked up for weddings. So the Broncos have had to been getting in there late. That happened with Jacksonville, and that also is happening now with Pittsburgh. So you young people, man, what's that? Just to hang out. It's a common law, right? We don't need these weddings. What do you do? No, I had a beautiful wedding in Colorado, actually, Estes Park. So I don't.
Nice, dude. Very nice. I like that. No, same here, man. Married in the mountains right down the street from my house here in Roxborough, dude. So no, I hear you. I actually heard from a couple of people that have said they're planning. Friends of mine are planning weddings. Venues and stuff like that are booked out like till 2024.
Yeah,
I mean, like, it is just absolutely insane. So I think there's something to look at there. I know the East Coast thing has kind of been kaput with this year with the Giants and the Jags, but man, travel plans, getting acclimated, being frustrated, those things can make weird circumstances and attitudes tend to come about. Now, I think the Broncos are professionals, and they're going to go in there and do their damnedest. I really do think they're going to show up. I don't think this is an issue where it's going to be like, oh, the players are just going to go in there and get rolled by the Steelers. No, but this is a game the Broncos can win, but it's not going to be easy. The Steelers are going to go down, I think, kicking and crying if that's the case. Lawrence Rivera coming in the house saying, I'm late to the party, had family pictures. No, you're never late to the party, especially when you're hanging out with family. That's what we're all about here on MHI as well. Good to see you. man, Broncos country getting fired up, dude. Anytime it's Broncos Steelers, there's been some pretty memorable matchups
Yeah.
between the two.
Yeah, two really good teams, historic teams. Obviously, the Steelers have been better longer. They haven't ridden on the backs of two Hall of Fame quarterbacks like the Broncos had for their bigger stretches, but still, two great teams, and should be a good game. And obviously, we have the phenomenal memory of the Broncos beating the Steelers in the playoffs with Tebow hitting Demaryius Thomas for that slant against cover one, cover zero. I can't even remember. All I know is Demaryius Thomas was gone, and man, that's one
I
of the
think it
hardest I've
was
ever cheered.
I think it was 0. Yeah, no, it was weird, man. We all remember where we were in that one, and Tebow can't throw. Well, he could throw that time. And
Yeah.
that was absolutely crazy. Yeah, and then Shelby Harris a couple years ago picking off Big Ben. Of course, the Steelers beating the Broncos with Jake Plummer in that AFC Championship game here was a really, really rough one for Denver. You go back even more, I think it was 1998 when you've got Howard Griffith talking about that Super Bowl year and talking about hitting LeVar Kirkland, I think was the big linebacker's name for Pittsburgh back when they had that AstroTurf and Bill Cowher coaching. And I mean, so many good memories with Broncos and Steelers. So absolutely love to reminisce, even if some of those memories were bad. We all remember where we were when the Broncos and Steelers went at it.
Yeah, and you also have the game, I think in 98, maybe it's 99, where they go in. Broncos are a AFC wildcard team, right? They go in, beat Kansas City. They go into Pittsburgh and beat the Steelers on the road, Cordell Stewart. So that was a great game.
Slash.
Yep. And then the Broncos also, 2015 on the way to the Super Bowl then, beating the Steelers at home with, was it DeMarcus Ware recovering a fumble? I can't. It was the AFC divisional game, but they beat the Steelers in that game at home as well. And then would go beat the Patriots and then the Panthers. So a lot of good matchups with the Broncos there against the Steelers historically. It's been pretty great. Flashing the scoreboard here, Bama's losing to Texas A&M right now, 17-7. What's going on? Georgia, maybe Mike from Georgia is going to be number one here soon. We got James Koch coming in here saying Steelers better not underestimate Denver either. We're nobody's patsy. Denver going to bounce back strong, make a big play early, and put last week behind you and pray a lot. LOL.
Here's something I don't understand, and no, I hear you, man. Maybe Denver goes in there tomorrow, and they're just like, wake up call. That's what we needed. The Ravens, a dose of the Ravens is what you needed. Maybe we'll see the Ravens again. It's hard to say, right? But this is I would say as much to a close must-win game that the Broncos have had this season. They can't look past the Steelers, no way. But Nick, why are the Broncos playing the Steelers 2 times in 2 years on the road? I've got a problem with that, NFL. Like, that is, I think, a little bit of a bizarre anomaly. Now, I know the Broncos are not at the forefront of the league's priorities. See their primetime scheduling accordingly, and with good reason, right? The Broncos have been not only bad, but we've talked about it, Nick. They've been irrelevant and boring over the past few years. That hasn't been the case this season. They're trying to make the climb, but they can't look past Pittsburgh.
Yeah, playing Steelers twice on the road, back-to-back years. I guess blame the Broncos for finishing second in the AFC West in 2019 because they had the AFC North second place team on the road and the AFC East second place team at home. So that's your Steelers and Bills games last season. So Broncos end up losing both those ones. Looked a little better with Jeff Driscoll under center with relieving Drew Lock in that second game or against the Steelers game. But thank you so much for the comment here, James. We appreciate you. Luke, I want to ask you a few questions before we get on out of here pretty soon. Very simple questions. The Broncos win this game if
Pat Shurmur runs the ball at least 25 times.
25 times. And is there any other efficiency metrics or anything you're looking for? Are you looking to lean into any specific run game matchup or running back specifically?
Let's go 12 personnel. Let's go heavy if we need to. If you're in goal line sets, I don't care if you need another offensive lineman or if we need to pull Mike Purcell to be an offset fullback. Like I don't care. Like, get the ball into the end zone. It's that simple. You've got to do it on the ground. He is a comeback game for Teddy too. I'm not looking for Teddy to go out there and go schoolyard all over the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, can he? Yes. Do I think he's going to? No. I think the Broncos need to treat this like just a old school blue collar, strap up your work boots, bring your lunch pail, and go to work in the Steel City, because that's the type of team they're going to play. Now, I know the stats do not support the running game with the Pittsburgh Steelers, nor does the offensive line. How do you protect your quarterback? Running the ball. It works both ways for the Broncos and the Steelers. So I like that. For me, I want to see 25 carries, man. It's 12 personnel. I know Pat Shermer loves 11 personnel, but good Lord, you used to coach the tight ends for the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you not remember that? Now, look for Saubert, too. Maybe a little bit of a sleeper this week. Maybe he catches a tutty, right? And maybe finally he gets on the scoreboard a little bit. That dark horse sleeper. Don't forget about him. Cortland Sutton, he hasn't got a touchdown this season. I mean, that's got to be driving 14 crazy. Maybe he gets that back with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, I like it. I like the run game. I hope they run it, not just run it, but run it efficiently too, right? 4+ yards a pop would be phenomenal. Maybe a big one. I'd love to see Pookie be able to show a little bit better vision with the game, and maybe Melvin Gordon hit one of those ones that he had week 1 as well, where he's the fastest player in the NFL for that week. On the other side of the coin, the Broncos lose this game if
the Broncos lose this game if Pat Shermer panics and Vic Fangio is too stubborn to ask for help. I wrote about it last week in one of my reactions. When I'm struggling, I ask for help, Nick. I don't know about you. I imagine you do too. We help each other too, and we try to build each other up. But you know what? Like sometimes we need to tell the other one, hey, man, I need you to pick it up here. Hey, this is what I would suggest doing here. Lean on your friends, Vic. Lean on your good buddy, Ed Donatel. Get a little help. It's okay to ask for help. It's not a bad thing. Pat Shermer, don't panic. Do not panic. I think Pat Shermer knows more about football or has forgotten more about football than I'll ever know. I do respect his football mind. It's his erratic behavior that just drives me up the wall. It's nothing personal with Pat Shermer, but don't get up there on a Friday and lie to me about running the football. It's a little bit insulting when I'm watching the film and I can tell you're not in it. And I get it. You're not hitting big home runs. You're not seeing Melvin Gordon hit that 80-yard bomb against New York, but do not give up on your guys. That's something you're going to see from Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to consistently coach up the Broncos tomorrow. You're going to see him trying to raise everybody's spirits. I think they do have a lot going for him there.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you there. All those points. I guess the last thing is the Broncos win this game. Who is the yeah, I guess we already asked the game ball. But if the Broncos lose this game, who is the guy who gets the tail on the donkey? Who's the main reason you lose, player wise? I'm not looking for a coach. Obviously, we're talking Shermer.
Oh
who's the player?
I was just you knew I was going to say Vic
Who's
Fangio
the one that
or
gets
Pat
abused
Shermer.
if they lose? What's the matchup?
If they lose, the matchup that we're all going to be talking about on Monday, that is a very good question.
I'll go right now. It's got to be, for me, it is Hayward versus the interior offensive lineman. That was totally a killer for this game last week. The other one for me is with the Broncos offensive weapons so injured, I'm afraid that Minkah Fitzpatrick making a game-changing play. And one sort of interception that changes the field position, gives the Steelers a short field to go for points. That could be enough where your margin for error is so thin that you lose the game because of that. So those are the ones that scare me a bit. I think Teddy Bridgewater with the Broncos injuries right now, you could see some force feeding of Noah Fant. And while I'm not against that by any means, I think the Steelers know that as well. I really do. They're going to be looking at, okay, well, Noah Fant hasn't been involved. Tim Patrick, probably better as a number 2. Cortland Sutton dinged up. You lost Albert Okoyebanam. We're not going to let Fant beat us. He's the explosive guy right now, the healthy-ish guy. We're not going to let him beat us. And we got Minkah Fitzpatrick. So one of those plays, Minkah's one that scares me a bit.
Yeah, maybe Bobby Massey as well. Trying to think about TJ Watt, right? And you're exactly right. I'm trying to be a little bit creative, and you're talking defensive line. That's the quickest way to get to the quarterback. Well, the other quickest way is his name is TJ Watt. The guy's an animal. But we're not going to be talking about Bobby Massey on Monday. If the Broncos lose, and Scott said it best on the 1s and 2s. He's like, we're all going to be talking about the quarterback. So you're going to hear that conversation next week. Drew Lock should have played. He practiced with the team. He prepared with the team, and Teddy wasn't ready. I mean, you're going to hear that next week. It's Monday morning quarterback. We all love doing it, but I think that could be there. Maybe Teddy throws a pick. Maybe he has a fumble of his own. Now, do I think that makes him the reason that they lose the game? No, but you're certainly going to hear about it, and it's going to be something to talk about next week.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're about to wrap it up here. We're at 58 minutes. So, Luke, put you on the spot one more time.
Let's
Final
do
of the
it.
game. What happens? What's the final outcome? Broncos, I think, 2.5-point favorites. So we
Okay.
can get into the spread too, but what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, the wise guys in Vegas have it wrong. I've got the Broncos winning 23-17, or excuse me, the Steelers winning. Sorry, Broncos country. Steelers winning 23-17, man. I'm so concerned, Nick, about the coaching staff and their morale right now, and whether how did they feel after last week, watching their coach get into a little tiff with another head coach. What kind of communication is going on, and what kind of delegation, rather, of responsibilities is happening with Vic Fangio in that building right now? Now, I think he's very well respected. I think that he is liked by his players. Liked, not loved. Mike Tomlin's players, say what you want about him, they seem to love their head coach. Now, I know he's had previous beefs with all kinds of other players, Le'Veon Bell, AB, whatever. Mike Tomlin knows how to get the best out of his players. I'm not entirely sure Vic Fangio knows how to do that.
Yeah, I have the Broncos winning this game. Right now, I thought, like I said, I went back and forth on it, but I think the Broncos defense is much more of a strength against the Steelers pass game and offensive line than any other matchup in this game. And I think that's enough to win this game. So I have them 23-13. This is a big game though for Denver. It's not a must win, but it's about as close as it can get. And I'm really curious to see how this team deals with adversity and mental toughness. The Broncos came out last week, they hyped up that Ravens game and they got punched in the mouth. Right. And they had not taken a hit like that yet. And they got knocked down and they lost. Okay. You have, 13 more games left. You cannot linger on that Baltimore game. That game does not define your season unless you let it. Right. So that's the big thing here. I'm curious to see what their mental toughness is, if they can regroup, refocus, and get a win in a tough environment against a team that is an injured dog in the corner right now, with the Steelers being 1-3, their season on the line. So Broncos, you got to go in, you got to take care of business. How tough are you in the mental side of the game? Not making stupid plays, not turning the ball over, not creating stupid penalties. You do not have the margin for error to do that. How tough are you on the mental side of the game? I think that's going to be the big outcome for this game. I think with Teddy Bridgewater being the guy, there's belief in Teddy in that locker room. I think that he's going to get them right. I think it's not Vic Fangio. I don't think it's Pat Shermer. I don't think it's Ed Donatel or whatever. It's Teddy Bridgewater. There's belief there. I think they're going to execute with Teddy and with him playing, with the belief on that team. And I think the Broncos will go into Pittsburgh and get it done.
Teddy B, baby, he's our hero. Who thought we would be saying that here before training camp? Teddy, you're our hero. Maybe he goes out there and plays hero ball. That would be absolutely great. Before we get out of here, let's get to Lawrence real quick. Lawrence, appreciate the stars. Lawrence in the running as well for that PS2 jersey. And let's clean it up and send us out on a good note. Tie a big red bow on it. We should start holding onto our good players and weeding out the weak. This could be our tryout year till we get a quarterback that changes the game by being on the field. Here's the only thing I'll say about that. It's not a tryout year when you're 3-1. The Broncos expected to beat the bad teams. Now they're asking themselves, and they've got to take a good long look in the mirror. Can we beat the tough ones? Because Pittsburgh might not be a good team. They're a tough team, though. Yeah. And they believe in each other and their head coach and even their old man quarterback.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you guys heard it here. Luke thinks the Broncos are going to win or lose. Excuse me. Luke, what the hell? So make sure I'm going to give you guys his address after the game. So
Nick's wearing black and yellow. He could talk about Iowa all he wants, but he's Cam Newton and there's a Steelers logo under that thing somewhere.
Yeah, the Broncos or the Iowa Hawkeyes did legitimately say, okay, who's a winning organization in football? The Steelers. We're going to copy their uniform. So
I'm glad you officially cleaned that up, because as a little kid, that's what on the playground we would all say to whatever that Iowa. You guys are everywhere, by the way. If I was so great, why y'all leaving? First of all, but no, you guys are Hawkeye fans, man. They're everywhere, just like Steelers fans. It's gonna be crazy out there. Nick, it's great to see you, man. It's great. We are back. MHI, baby, guys. He is Nick Kendell at Nick Kendell MHH. I'm Luke Patterson at Luke Patterson LP. This hour always goes by super fast, and we appreciate you guys for tuning in, man. This is always so fun.
Yeah, man. Let's hope the Broncos can get healthy. Let's hope they have a good game. Let's hope they are 4-1 when you guys see you next time. But either way, it's fun. We're in a good spot, right? It's been a bit since the Broncos have even been 3-1 this early in the season, and they're favored. So, let's have a great game tomorrow. It's one of the earlier games. Broncos going back out to is Pittsburgh in the East time zone? I don't even know. But either way, another tough game for the Denver, but it's a game they should win. Let's hope it's a great one. Stay healthy. You guys stay healthy too. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Go Broncos.